Happy Hump Day, traders. I'm Matt. He's Jacey. We're with Empire Algorithmic Trading, and it is time for our daily Vwapvision's Stock Talk.
It's where we use the volume weighted average price to make sense of what's happening in the market. And so, like I always say, Matt, let's get to it, shall we?
Let's go. Here comes Stock
Hot
Talk.
dog. Well, Matt, as we anticipated, it was a slight sell-off, kind of what we thought. Total bummer. Totally took out Monday's low, which is not a good sign, right? When you're trying to build some momentum, taking out gap lows are not a positive sign. So we had that doji, like we talked about yesterday, right underneath resistance. Kind of saw it coming. We kind of hoped it wasn't, but it is what it is. I think there was higher volume I know there was definitely higher volume on the Nasdaq. There was some small stock that traded a ridiculous amount of shares that lifted that up. But I think the S&P was as well. I haven't really, it's just, we're still building, right? We're still in construction. There's not a lot to go over today. So let's just take a look at some charts and be on our merry way.
It is interesting to know that it hit that resistance, though, and it bounced. We're ping-ponging back and forth between resistance and support.
Yeah, and that's a classic trading range. I mean, it's the first test, right? You're always going to see sellers usually come in. It's very normal. This is all part of the process. The higher volume, it was going to be about a given, right? If it would have been lower volume today, it almost would have shocked me more than the higher volume, just simply because of the lack of trading that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. So we do have that continuation. We did have that divergence between the volume and the prices, and now they're starting to converge in the wrong direction. So that's not exactly what we want to see, but like I said, we're still in the red zone. We weren't nibbling on any potential setups, any potential trades. I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted. I'm going, man, but I'm like, dude, just follow the rules, like we always say, follow
Yep.
the rules. So that's where I'm at. I'm still just hanging out, watching. Now we are going to look at the breakouts real quick from this red zone, and they're holding up quite well. Even though everything sold off today, everything was inside of its daily range. So it wasn't overwhelming to the downside in the emerging leaders. This is exactly what we want to see. Overall distribution still on the main indexes, meaning we're not in the green zone yet. Obviously, we're still below the VWAPs. So this is all just part of the process. It's all part of the waiting game, and we're just going to keep on keeping on. The Nasdaq Composite had a much rougher day than the S&P. The Nasdaq ended down 2% on the day. As you can see on that chart, a massive spike in volume. Almost all of that is from a single stock. I think it traded 140 million shares, and it normally trades 3 million. So I'm not really quite sure what happened there. It's just something I quickly read. Same
Somebody
thing.
saw something is what happened there.
Right? Yeah. I think it was VVRP or VVRT. I can't remember. VV something. Uh, the small cap stocks sold off for 1%, and the mid caps sold off for less than 1%. So nice to see those guys kind of sell. Now the mid caps actually, if you look, kind of held their gap on Monday. Let's see here. 544.84. 544.53, closed at 546. So yeah, I mean it bounced right off the 10-day average, still maintaining its upper VWAP that's hopefully going to become support. So that's actually relatively positive. Not so positive on the mid caps or the small caps. So overall, not a great day. Bonds did sell off again. That's not a great thing either. So we don't really want to see bonds start selling off just as equities are starting to sell off. We still want to see bonds maintained. So, like I said earlier, we still have a lot of headwinds. I said earlier in the week, you still got the global reallocation that I still think is going on. You've got the low volume bounce. You have got inflation. You've got tariffs. So there's some headwinds, and so it's not a surprise that we're running into some resistance. It's exactly what you would see. What happens next, obviously, is what's going to matter. So let's just take a look at some of the breakouts that we've had. As always, leading stocks are our guide, right? And so we've seen some stocks move, not an overabundance, but not enough that since we're in a red zone, we're going to take advantage of. but we want to see how they're behaving. So we had a
Right.
couple, they're holding up quite well.
Okay.
OR broke out very early in the move in the red zone, and it's bucked the trend quite well. A lot of the insurance companies are a leading sector of the market right now, and you can see that for example, in Old Republic stock. Same thing with Palomar. Palomar is a pretty nice uptrending stock there. It was down less than a half or less than a percent. Its average daily range is over 3%. So a very
Real
tight day on Palomar.
real quick on ORI. So that candle pattern that you have right there again, that is
Yeah.
a spinning top. Is that what you said?
Uh, Not necessarily. I mean, that's more of
Okay.
a kind of like a hanging man doji, kind of a negative star
Okay.
doji. It's in the bottom half of the range. It's just kind of pointing down.
Gotcha.
The body did gap up, so if we get a gap down tomorrow, that would be a pretty significant negative pattern. It wouldn't surprise me, especially since it rallied up to this peak here and then started
Hmm.
selling off again. So this is obviously becoming resistance. So
Hmm.
wouldn't surprise me at all to see ORI pull back a little bit. What matters is what's volume do. Does it clear the 10-day average? We typically don't use other averages other than the VWAP. Actually, I'm
VWAP.
just going to take that
Yeah.
off.
Get out of here, average.
Yeah, I just use the VWAPs. Anyhow, that's what I would expect. I would expect to see it kind of pull back a little bit. It's just, is it going to maintain this VWAP like it did before? And so that's kind of what I'm seeing in that chart. And it is. It ran into resistance back up here, so it's having a hard time getting over this level. So not a
What
surprise, right?
what's the numbers on that one again? That
Uh,
resistance level we're finding?
39 at 39, little
Okay.
over 39. Yep. And it peaked out. I mean, it peaked out at
Yeah.
39.01 today. So, I mean, it's doing exactly what you would expect. And so, yeah, you're probably going to want to see, you're probably going to expect to see it continue to sell off a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not a setup or a trader. It's just a holding right now. Same thing with
Hmm.
Palomar. EverQuote does look pretty ugly. Sold off
Hmm.
5.8%. However, its average daily range is 6.5%. So well within its average range. This is normal behavior for a stock like that. Same thing with Halozymes. Actually, that's kind of a bearish candle. It kind of completely engulfs the previous day. So that's never a good sign when you have a big bearish engulfing candle, kind of a smaller recovery, and then another bearish engulfing candle. It's pretty well above its VWAP as well. It's about 16% up above its VWAP. So
Hmm.
wouldn't be surprised to see that pull back a little bit. Triple flag precious metals, that's been a significant, pretty steady uptrender right there. Again, down 1.1%. Its average daily range is 2.7, so it's well within range. TG Therapeutics, same thing, down 4%, 4.7%. Its average daily range is about 7%. T-Mobile bucked the trend. It flashed a sell signal earlier in the week. Typical pattern. It's just kind of building. Actually, this is actually looking pretty decent here. You've got
Hmm.
uh, a little bit of series of lower highs, and then you have starting a budding wedge right here. So that could potentially break out of that. That would be kind of exciting. Let's see where the VWAP is for that.
As long as it doesn't do its little dance that it continues to do
I
of two
mean,
days
look at
up, a
that.
day
The,
down,
the,
2 days down, a day up.
Yeah, it was teasing us this whole move up. It would go, hey, I'm gonna flash a signal. Nope. Gonna flash. Nope. Yep. Nope. And then it just kind of went sideways. And that's actually a pretty decent looking pattern. You've got
Yeah.
a nice strong run up. It's finding resistance at the VWAP, which you would expect. Let's see if it's finding support at this VWAP there. So yeah, you got support at the gap up, and then you've got a little bit of resistance at its all-time high, and you got a potential wedge. It just closed above its VWAP today, so if we were going to see the market in a slightly better mood, it would not surprise me to see T-Mobile pop out of this, and that's when a good trade is going to be had. So that's a little interesting setup on T-Mobile. Crystal Biotech, again, down 2.7%. It's just kind of holding out. Not a lot of follow through on that breakout. Alamos Gold, a little bit of follow through on that one, but it's just trading in a nice tight range.
Hmm.
Intel is another interesting pattern. Intel, you've got potential flat bottom here, with the descending top, and so that's also a good sign there. So it would be interesting to see if Intel can hold this gap right here, and then it might find a little bit of buyers and then take off from there. So potential setup there. Same thing with Newmont Corporation. Guardant Health, it's hanging in there right above its all-time VWAP, right? So tried to break out, push down. We reset the VWAP. It flashed a buy signal. Now it's kind of living a little bit above both VWAPs. So it'll be interesting to see if it happens to follow through on that trade. Bullhead Specialty, just a standard 1.3% down day. That's a little bit of a topping chart of topping potential right there, just because it opened up, I believe, above. Let's see, let's take a look there. The high was 41.17, and it opened at 41.20. So it opened above yesterday's high, traded up, and then sold off for the rest of the day. So if it would have traded off and closed a little bit down here, that would have been a little bit more bearish. But as it is, it's still a pretty bearish candle. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of continuation selling for Bowhead.
Okay.
ADMA Specialties down 2.5%, well within its 6.6% threshold. Same thing with Alliance Bernstein, very tight range on AB. And then Heiko, of course, just kind of an inside day. That's more of a spinning top there, Matt, that you're
Okay.
seeing there. Yep. You got kind of equal distance. It just literally looks like a top, right?
Yep.
So what that's telling you is there's a lot of indecision. There's buyers coming in, there's sellers coming in. Nobody really knows what the hell's going on, hence the spinning top portion. That, and it literally looks like a sideways profile of a top. So that's today's stock talk, Matt. Just a typical ho hum minor sell off right at resistance, kind of exactly what we would expect. So now what we're going to want to see is we want to see either declining volume on continuing selling. We want to see stocks that were moving above their VWAP just live there. We don't want to see some hard rejections. And then we want to see the volume continue to maintain constructive. Like today was a bad day. It did sell off on rising volume. We don't want to see that pattern continue, right? We don't want to see it sell off
Right.
tomorrow on even higher volume. So this is just a normal constructive session. What we want to see, if it does continue, is either a bounce off of the longer VWAP that we saw earlier, or a nice little break of that low would be kind of exciting, because then a lot of people are going to think, oh man, that's where their stops are going to be. And that very well just could be institutions pushing the price down
Right.
just to trigger those stops, because it's a very clear support level. And then we could see a very nice rip right off of that. So those are some of the potential scenarios. But in the meantime, we're just sitting back and we're just waiting for that puppy to get above the VWAP, man.
Absolutely. With cash in hand, itching to invest, you know?
Yeah, and studying, right? We're studying
Yeah.
charts. We're looking at what worked the last green zone, what worked the previous green zones, what worked, like we talked about yesterday, what worked last July when we had kind of a similar pattern. So we're doing a lot of work, and we're sharing that with our Patreon subscribers. So as always, Matt, where can everybody find us?
Well, as JC said, if you want access to what we're doing with our algorithm, the daily buy sell signals that we get from that, and how we're using them and how we use them for our personal investment strategies, please subscribe to us at patreon.com/Empire Algorithmic Trading. Otherwise, for those of you listening on Spotify, please like and follow us. Same thing on YouTube for those of you who like to see our pretty faces every single day. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button as well. Otherwise, our social media is on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, and we're also on Blue Sky. So make sure to follow us on all of those platforms. And if you just want some more information about us, about our algorithm, who we are, what we do, why we do it, visit our website, Vwapvision.com. That's VWAPvision.com. And you can find us there. And as you said, JC, as always, happy trading.
Happy trading, my friend. We'll talk to you during Arrow Review.
Woo!
Ooh, yeah.